Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Sure that Claare Gaelnish is Babaliam Wasaltaka. My name is Robert Katin Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this programme, and that's partly in the English language, as Shen ons Persigeld, and that's partly in the Manx Gaelic, Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Alan Vannin, the Isle of Man. As Mabanach Dutrish. William Gell has referred to the Stanley family crest of the eagle and child, and the background can be found in John Seacombe's 1793 publication, The History of the House of Stanley. But we go before the Stanleys, in fact, because the crest emerges from another important Lancashire family, that of Latham. De Viernish genellach linje na ghe Marn Jane skiel mechion en Tallier Dunnel las skiel verishnes bredig en grim. En Tallier Dunnel shach en dunjer en maru shach kar chuligan lesh unwulje, as we goil huish moor na shen, drawi ginu Chris, lesh na vogelen scoot er shach eg unwulje, as high macht de agen riddenach gentale. Well, shades of John Quilliam to start. In his Know Your Parish programme, John Quilliam always included the cheery "La Mai," and that's just what Scottish band Manran do. Tashu geis Radio Vanning, Stashu na Nation, Viskull Scalia Mach, Why Doolish, Alan Vanning.
Am ratan y chyn hyrich Ar y balik y feg y hi sen y brochech Fiach wag at yn yw gar O maen yn iela En a lo eich mo gra O maen yn iela Dach i mos mo a jen y bra Aan het boer je die me hoort Aan de pad die je mooie boer Die woon op Aan hamsje en chien gericht Oh, maar en jema En aan lo is morgen Oh, maar en jema Ach, ik was nooit in de bra Hus ik rien katten en ik in een chin Hij zal nog eens kind tron hela Hij mag wie bio Hij mag wie bio
A song in Scottish Gaelic, wishing La Ma, from the band Manran, written and sung by their then lead singer, Norrie McGeever. John Seacombe tells the story of the Eagle and Child, about how Sir Thomas and Lady Joan Latham had no male heir. Actually, I'm not sure that Seacombe's right about that, but perhaps no surviving male heir at the time. However, Sir Thomas was the father of a son born to a woman called Mary Oscartell, whom he kept in what John Seacombe calls a house of retirement. Sir Thomas and a trusty servant came up with the plan of placing the baby in the grounds of Latham Hall, near where an eagle used to nest, and pretending that the boy had been brought in by the eagle in whose nest it was found. Well, Lady Joan accepted the discovery of the child as an act of God, and took the baby into the family as the male heir. Sir Thomas had him baptised, not very subtly one would think, as Oscartell Latham. Sir Thomas adopted a crest of an eagle, looking backwards, I think, towards a baby in swaddling clothes lying in its nest. Well, that baby went on to become Sir Oscartell Latham. However, apparently, according to Seacombe again, as Sir Thomas was nearing his death in 1382, he felt that his daughter Isabel ought to be the heir to his estates at Latham and at Knowsley. Nod fel y talier beg achtel de lŵr, te gynnu bleb je fawr. Te gol merish yn fawr de chit quel lochtai fawr. As also neud yn fawr smunion, de veli marw y talier beg leor is giara trwydol iafi onji tein a lai, lesh unvulje je lesh lorg yarn. Ach, gynnist yn fawr, ren y talier filia hin cart sy chorneil. As na fawr smunion de raw y talier marw, tad goel al rosh tret at fagan eis y cheil yn laer gain. Tan talier golgus cheer as caustin a charle te slai fagan a chrysega as na foglen siach eg unvulje. As de smunion de wel shen dania as dania njatel dania kagede, as tad golgus a ri as ginstead de bacon dunja shaw fi by sa cheja chagi ega, as tan talier corrail de hit de vein a haidur. Ach, a mai lesh na saidur an elia shaw, as de dullius on iri asnen startigen. Tan ri shiraach de gedden reirish de talier, ma sor te coregus keil, ongi te der fawrbege, te ginu dun vers a spoelje troilti. Now, singer Cécile Corbel is from the northwest of Brittany, and here she sings one of her songs in the Breton language, Juan de Main.
وزم مسلارت دو مساد
Breton singer Cécile Courbel telling of her desire to marry Juan de Maine, but her parents think her too young. Ten rí ginst an Claare ma vis getting réirish na fówer, the ginne corde yn y nínege mor ben hiesje as léarn yr réachtege. Mar so, trwyd kraut ten Claare cor na fówer kager, de bel na njistjau chit de maru. Ach tred is shirre an ounderege, ten rí greide wel eersen coline overelje, a shen de goil unicorn vis ginu Giel se Gael nis. Tan Claare shadow de dunnel gaus den unicorn rai ersen, as eg a shalle jernach de snout jou chulu je bilje, as ten unicorn saien erkege go down se jap, der awe gotch, as mar so henke leschen Claare corted der as goile. Ach forsten rí goil aris der en cheppel en in ege as een lear genererechtege den Claare son coline avrigen jartel, nish de cor ersen goil collach moch fai te ginu Giel se Gael. As through den gastidege, shenchit leschen Claare begnius. Now the way John Seacombe describes it is as though Sir Oscar Tell Latham lost out to his half-sister Isabel and was mocked for it. He goes on to write, Sir Oscar Tell, being thus degraded and supplanted in the hopes and prospects of an immense fortune, was slighted and despised by his unthought-of rivals, who, either to distinguish or aggrandise themselves, or in contempt and derision of their spurious brother, took upon them the eagle and child for the crest, in token of their conquest over him, which to me plainly manifests the variation of the two crests above mentioned, and the reason for it. Now, turning back a page, what he says is, the eagle, as represented in the Stanley's crest, has actually made a prey of the child, whereas Sir Thomas Latham's crest implies a miraculous preservation of it, as the child is supposed to be brought there by that bird of prey, so consequently its safety would be attributed to an extraordinary providential dispensation. After Breton singer Cécile Courbel having a desire to marry, that was the Manx wedding tune Peter O'Tavy, played by Sheila Corkle and Alan Pickard on fiddles, Charles Gael on harp and Charles Alway on cello, and it was Charles Gard's arrangement.
A nation station, Manx Radio.
Station and Ashun to Radio Banning, sure that Claare na Gael, Mish, Robert Gutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
For the Uclash and Claare na Gael rishacht and luggy guller skelia mach, trud in a degger Radio Banning as an Chraman eish rish. Tierig hadden more podcast nastinius, rish trud in a degger Radio Banning, the trud kereder and podcast elia, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. Well, I tried to compare Sir Thomas Latham's crest with the Stanley one. I did find a Latham crest with an eagle, standing with wings partly unfurled and head raised, looking to the left, but it was standing on a branch or a log, and there was no child beneath it. Elsewhere I found a crest purporting to be a Latham crest, but I think it was actually the Stanley one, because the eagle was standing on the right-hand side and arched over the nest and looking down towards the face of a child in swaddling clothes lying there. And Seacombe goes on to admit that perhaps what he said was a bit harsh about Sir Oscar Tell being thus degraded and supplanted. However, he says, Sir Thomas, not quite forgetting his affection for and kind intentions to his son Oscar Tell, reserved and settled upon him and his heirs for ever the manors of Earlham and Urmston near Manchester, in the county of Lancaster, with several other large tracts of land and domains in that county, also the manor of Hawthorne, and many other lands and tenements in the county of Chester, and gave him the signet of his arms, with the crest assumed by him for his sake. A chyr sio chydodder I siadw nai cor yn unege, as lieir riach deged yn talier, as morso tabanish na chummel. Ach, I de rauw, ten wen jesje klaasjen yn talier lord goudstein a chadle, as tegere nish marilia, gin na peri shen mahan, as cor clamp na breechen shen, non an yim kustu herish na geelchen, lesh me clat taustun dart. As morso nod renni tigel kreeg o ingel var rugger en dunje sheshek, haigus en erek a morra gain, as dinchi day a clen skiel. As renni gwi de liga seri vai dunje, na rau beg na share na talier. Renna ri shirori de royal ash as doorte, noch, feg foslich Doris de chemer liabach, bin a garden nin shadu chamui, as trete na chadle, ni a chitsjach, as Stanley, as immerker soeleils beda, as be a corrit de chawelian tail. Maar so van ben jesje genachten de wei na gurdige. This is a Cornish band now, Caracana, love of song it means, and they're singing a song written by Richard Trethewey. It's called Worse Things Happen.
remember my advice, my best piece of advice. Worst things happen to a miner's life, love. Worst things happen to a miner's life. Worst things happen to a miner's life, love. I should know that worst things happen to a miner's life. Worst things happen to my miner's life, love. Worst things happen to my miner's life.
Richard Trethewey's song Worse Things Happen, performed by Cornish band Caracana. Ach ren immercach ustje yn ri fy geisdiach uliw yn tre, golgus y talier beg as dinche de a cleden plan. Nym corcion uliw je sio dwr de. Yn eisien renne lai sis yn ach caj yn syljafi. Ys tres money y ben hiesio drawyn y charla, giri, dosili y doris, as haid y lai rish. Ren y talier beg, na rawch liger ed y fein y charla, Gael toiach de gre de hingel lach de Claare. Nish, Magelia, gin na peri shen mahon, as cor clamp na breechen shen, nonna nim costu herish na gielchen, lesh ma clat taust dart. Tamia varu shach lesh unvulja, varu de for, as oil unicorn as oil collach moch fai. As be alem roosen tan in shadw chow mwy je doris mach As trech hilad yn talier gre sio, vad aglich as, renna che mor de bech mwy faiad, as chadug ferrer bi eb saich As mor so, renna talier beg freurish vein ri uliw a ve. And so says Seacombe. By the above reserve and settlement, Sir Thomas raised a new family of his own name, and though not in the old seat as he had once intended, yet gave them a large patrimony, which enabled them to make a leading figure in the world. Thus far we've attended Sir Thomas Latham through the course of his life, and near the exit of it, wherein many curious and remarkable events have been related of him. Let us therefore now leave him to die in peace at a good old age, like a shock of corn ripe for gathering in to the storehouse of perfection, and proceed to the issue and descendants of his daughter, the Lady Stanley. However, before that, I'd like to jump back in John Seacombe's narrative. In relation to Oscar Latham, he mentions that he was with his sister Isabel, at the famous tournament by Sir John Stanley and the French champion at Winchester. Well, that was the occasion on which Oscar was knighted by King Edward III. Now, this is a song which I'm sure you'll recognise, but perhaps not in this form in the Irish language, in which it's sung by Diarmuid O'Cahasig.
Na vic moch ri ers an Sergeant Gree, a wallet van Adam is an Edan ri. The Royal Dragoon har fargen on, skan in ro will vehet if ik out more agus toraya. Fall the diddle da, toraya. Rinne teigle stall, agus goi her stall, via water tamil father gonna horish call. Aki mi man or honig long fui hiol, a corn corky, agus tiger board, agus toraya. Fall the diddle da, toraya. Oh, the leg she bake, no the chonig she Marvi taig and a waka agus magic be. Mwish a haiga run an shanai met food, oh manam and jowl on toot our home agus toraya. Fall the diddle da, toraya. Oh, and rev to old and no one rev to dull is the chosa dog and dance and tear udal. None rinne to shul at a varige war, go rouse she'd catch a cut to loon, got soil like a storaya. Fall the didna, toraya. Oh, near rev me orta, is ni rev me kirk, ach ik tridder son ma here mar iem ach leuk. Is vi lawak nang on the extra bastia pole, the skubba ma chosho I modlun go soil agus Turaya, Palidinda, Turay, Uray, Uraya. O dalligin ma laverina rouge, ta heening dalle vele dorn fuin pluge. Is ma warig an laws an vliam dan sar, nor de skuption across away taiga gra, agus Turaya, Palidilda, Turay, Uray, Uraya.
Dermot O'Cahasy, who was a singer from Howth, the peninsula that forms the northern headland of Dublin Bay. Very familiar song, of course, but I've never actually heard it in Irish before. I didn't realise there was an Irish version of it. I always assumed it was one of those ones written in English, but there we are. There it was. Vich Muchri is the title of it in Irish, sung there, as I say, by Dermot O'Cahasy. Now, being leading Lancashire families, the Lathams and the Stanleys would have known each other anyway, probably. Perhaps it was that which drew them to this famous tournament by Sir John Stanley and the French champion at Winchester. Now, to call him Sir John Stanley at that time is not quite right, as Seacombe tells us. Of John Stanley, he says, "He was born about the 27th year of Edward III and had for his patrimony the old seat of Newton, in the hundred of Macclesfield, in the county of Chester." King Edward III became king in 1327, so that makes John Stanley born round about 1354. And Seacombe continues now, "This brave and valiant gentleman was one of the captains under the command of his relation, James Lord Audley, at the famous Battle of Poitiers in France, which was fought on the 19th day of September, 1357. By Edward the Black Prince, son to King Edward III, wherein John, King of France, was taken prisoner and brought captive to England." Tan na skeels y chaglam sio, jay skeel and ferish na brerach and grim, enmesit ashen putel. Ach bien eder versjoen jane skeel sio, a ben eg jane enam shen ashen putel, jorish enam elia. Tred rauw va dunje burchach on, as van ben egge na lai ching. As trebi genachten de rauwen jerek tarna gere, huggi eem een inruchen nienek, de hit gesaljabiek. As doorti, ma feitje wien. Bi krawi as mai, as ni gi goil kereel jied arach, as ni nim gi een noesort vai njau, as bim murt. As esh, renni dúnan a súlenek, as húri bes. Haie vógin dach leg as aie mera, as renni ko, as vi riw krawi as mai. Tre henke gjaure renna snjach de koedige an aie, les brat wen. As tre henke grien de morges en jarach, as renni ljaier súli, ren en dunje goiler a han hien, ben jesje elje. Ren a ven jesje no, corli de en nien tai meri, as we komme ellen as buechok. Dance music from the Welsh band Crastant with Robin Hugh Bowen, Andy McLaughlin, Stephen Rees and Hugh Williams.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Seo dat stasiwn yn asiwn sien the jarw radio fanning. On seo taw geis siachris Claare na Gael, mer yn pyn Robert gytyn cors o Robert y corslach.
Have you heard tell of our Bobby Bob?
Ni ai sien the zolju, egnen gri, vad grena as granganach van de nina ben chesja no. As eis ren tren fyr olkoil toiach de veon son een lias nien wach. Wel de creatuur bol wenach de wen a saise chamer cheden as de shingen, door dat. Odsen te gie bi signed out tulchene, mach li son kaljen early. Gauwad voin na goonen boechek, as hugged mooi shan onre mooi lie, as hugged G bregen foy de chor mooi. Just jich nischer wen prins vornach, an ach ti jashinich demad, chaus vad gerich di. As esch renned corigus en chamer early. On shen, ve uri culina over trom vain varagus en nee. As ish, iri de mages a vara, fedden ostja, father na island, kogere, as ginu na niegen. Chamme shen ren na shurigen en good shed die inu tran les uri, ginu fachidji, as scaliamach pisheren as lentelen salai, as korori troggle susad. Now Seacombe continues to describe what brought this famous tournament about. Soon after this memorable victory, that's the Battle of Poitiers, a truce betwixt England and France was agreed upon for 2 years, during which interval of public action, Mr. Stanley, being of a martial genius and intent to improve himself in the art of war, visited most of the courts in Europe, even as far as Constantinople, wherein he made such advances in the school of Mars that his superior skill in arms was generally applauded in every country he passed through, insomuch that the fame thereof gave him the character of the most noted champion in single combat of that age. And on his return back through France, the reputation of his bravery so raised the pride and envy of a haughty French combatant that he followed Mr. Stanley to England, and there challenged the whole nation to produce a person to engage him in arms, which, being made known to Mr. Stanley, he accepted the challenge. Now, Edward is a dutiful son as he answers his mother's questions, but it turns out that he has somewhat of a propensity for murder in this 300-year-old Scottish ballad sung by the trio Elir.
Summer's day, sun, come tell it unto me. A fishing and a fowling in the fields and the forest. I am weary, mother, let me be. I am weary, mother, let me be. What put the blood on your right shoulder? Son, come tell it unto me. 'Tis the blood of a hare I killed yesterday. I killed most manfully. Son, can tell it unto me. 'Twas the blood of a boy I killed yesterday. I killed most manfully. I killed most manfully. What came between yourself and the boy? Son, come tell it unto me. 'Twas only the cutting down of a rod that would never come to a tree. That would never come to a foreign country. I will sail to a foreign country. Only wedded wife, son, come tell it unto me. She can put her foot on board of a ship and follow after me, and follow after me. What will you do with your two fine bairns? Son, come tell it unto me. I'll give one to my mother and the other to my father, for to keep them company, for to keep them company. What will you do with your houses and your lands? Son, come tell it unto me. I will lay them bare to the birds of the air, for there's no more welcome there for me, for there's no more welcome there for me.
Scottish singer Niamh McCaveney. She also plays fiddle with the Glasgow-based trio Claare, in which she's joined by David Lombardi from Italy and Jean Damay from France on fiddle and guitar respectively. Edward is child ballad 13 in the famous collection by Professor Francis James Child. With Mr. Stanley, as John Seacombe styles him here, accepting the challenge of the French champion, we quote, and the time and place of action by the king's direction was to be at Winchester, under the walls of which city he sought and killed him in the presence of his majesty and a numerous crowd of spectators. This public and gallant action caused King Edward to take great notice of him, and as a reward for his bravery honoured him with a knighthood, which raised his reputation all over Europe. So he came to the tournament as Mr. Stanley and left it as Sir John. But there was more, according to John Seacombe, and no doubt gained him the secret good wishes of all the fair sex present, among whom was the heiress of Latham, beautiful, young, and rich, which caused her to be envied of her own sex, but admired by the lovers of real beauty, virtue, and merit. Sir John, for we must now honour him with that title, declared himself her champion and humble servant. Na faster an beggar treb an beneg ski de loer lugan obbe kraiek faien lei, geraul javi ek ongi de lai. Ach, wie eit niet de goileish a cholach masten a smareg an dua. As no der awi riu gien Johnach broch, doort a drie ashenpoetel. Hager an lei, hager e lei der ou de jachen ergus a verge, as vrije jeen del jassen nienek, egge na liesig e corlesh bakker en son. Edian brouwer doorten derrier, perlen as cleginen doorten jeelia. Ach kird bevaliat ashen poetel doorte. An chid twig yishig vispoele naide ed red de valia, shen bevalia must de chordau. Maar so chionne son en del jassenien, edian brouwer, perlen as cleginen. As a red egge de valia, chaus vi markach risper glas, ren twig chaul, boele naie ned egge, as ren e brisjevai, as dimmerke, tai merish. Well, a return now to the quarry, with the Breton trio who've taken as their name the Breton word for a quarry, and that's Mongleuse, and the song Vanche à Morvan.
Pétrasonné vers rentré, Argatel zo gandarmera, Argatel zo viden red toen bras merbé. Van charmeur van aan de neve, en de doua da goud furnet. De bevarvar nugen ma keppen, raak den idiot muier bugen. fortunia, mais évadou, viré autant, à négavé, qu'est l'herba, ouais, à zoaré de ses envers. Kautaria, c'est président, munan bauri, kia wan kikflam, gan en teodlem, daula gatson, friminou, jokikro. Marie la blague, yo et en eau, en fortunia, il doit penso, mais grenden doit, québécavet, ragan et dévi, j'ai qu'il choumet. Anzawaran, et mes varis, Rwambras et moi, d'Azimézi. Amerawa, et Muscaven, mes nagabouan, perdi mes airs. Va Muscaven, fin charmant, vangan, les vénèzes, et réméra. Calre goza, calzordo, red et vido, ber, point des brières. Dix un, deux, un, trois, d'herbes, dix années, mais vos huit en V. Agan, gros, reine, va, inigo, met, frigo, tout, loup-garou. Pénonce ta marité, guerre floura, y'a fégan, air au loudou. Avarné meur, mes vario, gan, alda, tenem scrabo. No poesinaire e me vari, non al meielo de wari, ages puro bete carwal, agendina o edinmal, di wal naveri e la rolret, verne wele relge pignet, mare fusian ranker punta, ben nos arog mondaloja, me ambezo vitandrase, ben pero hermis quella leve, apparanche loja hermias, va melconi bocere bras, oia mari maqueirares, casante falius arbares, arbrasando e raviro, e on a fait d'en dentro, e vitor vi me rediawan, mardore trois, tant skiant, nadi jamais den verda, del ludo cose veldement.
The song Vange ar Morvan, sung by the trio Mongleurs, with bass clarinet and button accordion accompanying the voice there. As trerenke tai, huggy den liasenin and shen vad yiri, as de ashenputtel huggy a twig howl. Huggy buiste, as haig as aya mera, as renny querd twig shaw and shen, as ish ko husharu, the ren the jerek tujamuri, as hugga tushjuji, as renny bishicha, as henk bilja browd away on. Our Seacombe says, after some time of address, Sir John gained an entire conquest of her, that's Isabel Latham, and all her favours, by an honourable marriage. Well, that's as may be, but there's much, much more water to flow under the bridge than Seacombe suggests before anything that came about, and I certainly wouldn't take Seacombe's version of events at face value at all. Ach, nim vergele nosje shen de Irish tamelt nor de be shen sonne nageert. Chris Pearson is your host for 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening between 7 and 9, and then at 9 o'clock it's time for Sundown with Judith Lay. Claare Gael comes to a close with one of the movements from Tim Price's musical homage to the island Gem of God's Earth, and here he celebrates Ballaglass. Shene Shachir Show, and so until the next time, this is Robert Katinkar, Robert Karslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm Chriorts, as Duts my Yerian share.